Good afternoon. Well, let me just make sure that I am indeed live here. It always takes a couple of refreshes on my laptop to see that. There we go. Okay, looks like we are good. So, good afternoon, everybody. Carol Buckalew with Inky Stampers. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the U.S. So my apologies for the video last week. Facebook apparently made some changes on how you go live, and I was unaware of those changes, and apparently they were pretty recent last week. And yeah, so my video didn't didn't go last week, so my apologies for that. Hey Mary, thanks so much for joining. So today, and Mary, thank you, by the way, for helping me figure out how to go live again with the new changes. I greatly appreciate it. Mary always has your back, I'll tell you. So today I have a front flap fun fold card. Hey Faith, thanks so much for joining. And this fun fold is super easy to do. Boy, I can't talk today. I use the Autumn Leaves bundle, and I use the Pick of the Patch bundle to create this card. And it's essentially just a smaller card base sitting here in the center on a larger card base. So this is the little small card base inside. And I wish I thought to do this, you know, when I make a card. Hey Rosie, thanks so much for joining. You're not late at all. Oh my goodness, you're cleaning. Hey Tara Beth, thanks so much for joining. I appreciate you all being here sincerely. What I wish I thought to have done here, this little front flap on this card would be an awesome place to build in a little gift card envelope, and maybe, you know, put the sentiment up higher here and then have your gift card down here. And I wish I thought to do that, but next time. I always think of improvements on my cards after I've made them. Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. And then, of course, the inside of the card. So let's get started. I'm going to get some stamping out of the way. And I've already cut out my sentiment label. Let me show you just real quick the products that I used. So I used the Autumn Leaves bundle, a sentiment, and these two smaller leaves and the veins here. I've used the sentiment label, and I've die cut ahead of time one of these small leaves, and then the Pick of the Patch bundle, which is the stamp set, and then a punch, which you'll see in a minute. I also used some of the All About Autumn 6x6 specialty designer series paper. Hey Karen, thanks so much for joining. You're sneaking on from work. Good for you. Don't get in trouble. But anyway, the All About Autumn paper is going to be back in stock. I think within the next week or so. I meant to check the date and I forgot to do that, but it should be back in stock fairly soon. It came back in stock at once, and it sold out, came back in, and then it sold out again. So it is a beautiful paper. But anyway, let's get a little bit of stamping done here. I am going to stamp the sentiment onto this pre-cut label die from the Autumn Leaves set. Oh, thank you, Karen. Appreciate it. Thank you, Rosie. So I'm going to stamp the sentiment that is from the Autumn Leaves set with a grateful heart. And I'm going to go ahead and try and get this lined up here on my sentiment label. I just need to pull that to me just a little bit. And these are photopolymer stamps. So the good news is you can see through them. It makes it fairly easy to stamp your sentiment. And that's sitting a little bit high, but not so much that I'm upset about it. So we will keep that. Hey Mom, thanks so much for joining. Got a lot of people on today. Wow, that's nice. Very nice. Okay, what next here? So I'm going to stamp a couple of pumpkins. And just a really handy trick. This is the Pick of the Patch coordinating punch, right? And it punches out 2 pumpkins, a stem for the pumpkins, and then a leaf image. What you can do with these punches when there's multiple pieces on the punch, you can actually go ahead and punch out yourself a card, and you can keep this card in your stamp set. And then when you want to stamp your images, so for instance, this pumpkin stamp, you know, will fit inside that hole. You can lay your stamps in here, pick them up on one large stamping block, and then, you know, and stamp your images. And then when you line it up in the punch, it will line up exactly, you know, so that you can get everything stamped in one go. And I'm not going to do that here today, but I did want to tell you about that handy little trick. And then you can just keep this card for future reference, put it in the stamp case, and then you've got it if you need it. But I am going to individually stamp my pumpkins here. And I just want to note, want you to take note that I'm going to stamp them in the same orientation that I'll be punching them out in. So this pumpkin is upright, so that one's fine. This little pumpkin sits sideways in the stamp, so I want to make sure that I stamp him sideways. So let's I'm going to stamp the large pumpkin in pumpkin pie ink. And we'll get him stamped. I've actually got quite a bit of stamp in here today. I don't usually. And I'm gonna risk it and leave those inks open. Fingers crossed, right? So here is the little pumpkin. And remember, it sits sideways in the punch. So I'm just going to stamp him sideways and we'll be good to go. There we go. All right. And then for the stem of the pumpkins, in order to conserve cardstock, the stem sits way up here at the top of the punch and it sits sideways. So in order to conserve cardstock, I'm going to just stamp 2 stems in copper clay ink and stamp them sideways on a thinner piece of paper. And then this way, I'm not punching out paper that, you know, wasting cardstock essentially. And we'll just stamp 2 little stems there, like that. And let me just close this up here for a second. So I'm going to go ahead and, you know what? I may have messed myself up. I messed myself up. All right, that's okay. I'm going to have to stamp another pumpkin. Yeah, that's not going to work. So I'm going to punch one of, I'm going to ruin one of my pumpkins if I try to punch them that way, but that's all right. We can restamp that real quick here. Sorry, I need to hold this up so I can see the margin around my stamp. It's hard to see with the lights that I have set up right now. Come on. There we go. It happens all the time. I know. I wasn't thinking, but that's okay. We can make that work here. So there's my one little pumpkin. I'm going to grab this larger pumpkin back here. And let me see here. Will he fit? I think he'll fit. Let me make sure I'm dipping here in the right ink. Let me just, will he fit? We're going to give it a go here. Hopefully I'll get enough margin around my pumpkin. I think I'm just going to make it. Let's see here if that works. All right. And then just another hint with the punches. If you press down slightly, not all the way, but just slight pressure, that kind of helps grab that cardstock until you get it into position. And of course that pumpkin just went on the floor. Let me grab him back. Well, where did he go? I've lost my pumpkin. Seriously, lost my pumpkin. He went flying. Well, I don't know what. I think I must have slipped on the punch there. But I've got an image here of that pumpkin. So I'm going to attempt here to stamp on it rather than pulling out another piece of cardstock. And my apologies, I need to pull this close to me. My light is so bright, it's hard to see. You know what? This is not going to work. Let me grab another piece of cardstock. Good grief. So sorry, guys. It happens, right? We'll get this one way or another. Okay, let's try this one more time. Stamp our orange pumpkin, our pumpkin pie pumpkin. Punches can be tricky. I mean, they're easy. They really are easy. I'm not making it look easy, but they are. All right, now we've got a good pumpkin here. There we go. Now we got it. Okay, phew, good grief. And let's get our stems punched out. Yeah, I should have given myself more room, and I didn't punch them the way I should have punched them. But that's all right. There's one little stem. And the second little stem. You get those little pieces corralled so I don't lose them. All right. I can close this up. We're done with the punch now. And then for the inside of our smaller card base, I've got a little sentiment. And when I say little, I mean little. And let me clean that stamp off so I don't make a mess here. I've got 2 stamps on this one stamp block, and I don't want to mess myself up here. So this stamp says today and every day, and it's very tiny. So with a grateful heart, today and every day, and we are going to stamp that in copper clay. Make sure I have it turned right side up. And we're just going to stamp it up here towards the top, hopefully straight. Okay, that looks good. And I'm going to keep that copper clay out. I'm going to stamp another pumpkin on the inside panel of the small card base in pumpkin pie. And then I am going to stamp the pumpkin stem in copper clay. There we go. Okay, that's our inside panel for the small card base. And then on the larger card base, I want to stamp, I'm going to keep these inks open. Let me find my stamps here. The 2 images here, I would call these birch leaves. They're really, really pretty. Let me just grab a scrap piece of paper. One of the dogs ate the pumpkin. No, they're actually sleeping. They are sleeping. They're being little couch potatoes. They had been outside, and so they get hot. And when they come in, they want to take a snooze. And I'm just going to stamp this 2-leaf image here in the upper corners of my card. Whoops. Try not to get ink on myself. And then I'm going to stamp these over here. There we go. These leaves are so beautiful, and I especially love them in the copper clay. Now I'm going to take the veins for these leaves and try not to get myself inky. I was running out of stamping blocks. I need to buy more stamping blocks. But I want to stamp the veins here on these leaves. So I'm just going to turn this around. And what I do is I center the bottom portion and the top portion of the veins with the previously stamped images. And I'm sorry, I need to bring this to myself just a little bit more so I can see it. My light is really not helping me today. It's kind of making everything just look white to me. Okay, there we go. And ink that up one more time. And I'm just lining up the top and bottom of those veins. There we go. And you know, to be perfectly honest, these leaves are a bit stylized. If you didn't stamp them absolutely perfect, the veins, I think it'd be totally fine. Okay, we're gonna do one more pumpkin down here in the corner. And then we're gonna do an additional sentiment on the inside panel of this card, of the larger card base. And let's get the stem stamped in here with copper clay ink. There we go. And I need my larger sentiment, and this says a harvest of blessings. And that sentiment is from the Pick of the Patch stamp set. So I'm going to stamp that in copper clay. Let me get rid of my paper here. Okay, there we go. Almost done. Almost done. Stamping, that is. Let me grab my envelope. And I am going to stamp the 2-leaf image on the front of my envelope. Yeah, I've been collecting additional stamping blocks, Karen. When I place another order, I'll definitely, I've been doubling up on some, and even with that, I'm still running out. So yeah, definitely need to get a few more, especially of the smaller sizes, I find. All right, and let me just stamp the leaves on here. And of course, I took my scrap paper away, but that's all right. This is actually, I think, a stamp block, the thinner stamp block from Paper Pumpkin Kits that I'm using here for the veins. Okay, so that is our envelope. And I think we can close these inks up now. I think I got everything. Get these all closed up. Before we have an ink-tastrophe, that's a Maryism, an ink-tastrophe. All right, so let me pull my card bases and other pieces in here. So I've got 2 card bases. The large one is a standard 8.5 by 5.5 inch card scored at 4 1/4. And then this one measures 8.5 by 3 inches and is also scored at 4 1/4. So those are our 2 card bases. The very first thing I'm going to do is mat up this beautiful copper clay and copper specialty paper. Let me grab my glue. Get these matted up. This paper I have used so much of this paper. It is just so beautiful. I know folks are waiting on it. But the good news is that they are going to restock it. Alrighty, I'm just trying to get an equal reveal there on all sides. I'm matting these pieces up to pumpkin pie. These are like these are my colors. I love, love, love fall colors. And these are just awesome. The pumpkin pie, the copper clay, just so beautiful. It's funny, when I buy clothes, I always tend to go to these colors. They just are my colors. The earth tones. Okay, there we go. So let me get the front of our small card matted up. And I've got a pumpkin print here. Actually, I think it looks like that's the right side up. So let me get this matted to a pumpkin pie mat. Whoops, that totally slipped. That's what I like. But boy, I just made a big mess. I just made a big mess. Let me grab my tweezers here and try to get that glue mess cleaned up. Good grief, Carol. All right, now my fingers are going to be sticky. I'm just using the side of my tweezers to get some of that excess glue off that I have. And of course my panel's crooked. Oh, can I save it? I don't know if I can save it. I don't think I can save it. It's going to be crooked. Oh, yeah, it's not going to budge. Well, darn. Okay, that's all right. All right, so the thing about this card that I found easiest is to attach the two panels on the right and left side of the large card base first. Yeah, I would be lost without my reverse tweezers, for sure, Mary. They come in so handy for so many things. So when I put this panel on, I'm going to try to pay better attention here. But when I put this panel on, I am looking for that 1/16 of an inch reveal behind the matted piece here. And I'm sure it's very hard to see, but I do have about a 1/16 of an inch around that matted panel. And let me get the second one on. And there's really not any particular direction this paper needs to go. Alrighty, and again, I'm looking for about 1/16 of an inch around the top side and bottom of each of those panels, and that looks pretty good. Go ahead and get my pumpkin panel here glued on top of the small card base. Make sure my card's opening the right way. My print is face up. And again, a 1/16 inch reveal, if you can. There we go, that looks pretty good. All right, give those a second to dry. I'm gonna go ahead and get the inside panel on our larger card base. I have been trying to use Stampin' Seal. I've been trying to be better. Glue has always been my go-to, and it's what I'm comfortable using when I don't get it all over the place, by the way. But so I've been trying to be better about using my Stampin' Seal more, and in particular, using Stampin' Seal when I'm putting inside sentiments down on a mat. If you get too much glue, that glue can cause the cardstock to just not bubble, but kind of wave a little bit. And the Stampin' Seal is, much cleaner and much quicker, to be honest with you. But I don't know what I did to my Stampin' Seal roller. I think I have to get a new one because I was using it successfully. I was making a whole bunch of cards, and I was using it like crazy. And then when I went to use it again, the tape won't come off the roller, right? So I don't know what I did. but I'll have to get a new one ordered. Okay, again, looking for that 1/16 inch reveal. Yeah, oh, yeah, I know, Faith. Yeah, same here. Well, I kind of always use glue when I made cards, just because I found it easier. But I like the wiggle room. And when you become comfortable with something, you know, it tends to be your go-to, right? Okay, this is our small card base, and I'm going to attach it to the larger card base. And I want to center this right smack in the middle between those mats. And I want to make sure that that top edge is in line with the top edge of the larger card. And that feels and looks good. Give that a good press down. Glue is the bomb diggity. Yes, it is, Mary. I couldn't agree more. I do like it. I do like my liquid glue. Alrighty. I think that looks good. And I'm just going to open up the small card base here on the top. And we'll get the inside sentiment on this card put in. And then we can decorate the front of the card. And I'm going to run over again, just slightly. And methinks that I did not cut this to size correctly. Or I grabbed the wrong piece of cardstock. So let me give this a real quick trim. Bear with me. Glue and all on the panel. All right, here. Let me see. Now I'm going to have to clean my cutting, my trimmer. Yeah, that should be about 2 7/8. So I'm going to take just, hopefully I don't mess up my stamped image. Let me take off one more. I was taking off 1/16 of an inch at a time. But I think we're in the clear here, so there we go. Boy, just problem after problem here today. All right, let's try this again. The good thing about the Tombow glue, if you don't put anything down to it, it starts to get tacky, but it's still perfectly usable. The only thing is, once you put something down on that tacky glue rather than runny glue or wet open glue, you know, it's going to grab to the surface. So there we go. Okay. Maybe that's why my pumpkins didn't punch out right. Let me get glue off of me here. Okay, good grief. I am going to have to use my Stampin' Seal. Truth in Stamping Realism. That would be my channel, Faith. All right. I am going to use my Stampin' Seal. You'll see what I mean. It's totally messed up. But what I want to do here is I need to get the stems glued on to my pumpkins. I'm just going to put a small drop of glue here on the back of my pumpkins for that. Let me grab my tweezers. Whoops. And I've got glue on the tweezers. I think a good cleaning with some rubbing alcohol will be in order after today's stamping session. What do you think? Holy moly. All right. These are so tiny. Okay, there we go. Whoops. Well, he came off. Come on there. And that one looks pretty good. And then what I'm going to do is apply just a small amount of glue here on the right side of the larger pumpkin. I'm going to put the front decoration for my card together, kind of all together. There we go. And then, as I mentioned, I die cut out one leaf. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on that leaf. My pumpkin's wanting to stick to the paper. And so I'm just gluing all of these little decoration pieces kind of together in a unit. And that's how they'll get put on the card with Stampin' Dimensionals. Okay. And then the last piece kind of this little collage will be my sentiment label. And I'm going to go ahead and glue that sentiment label right to those pumpkins. And just a little bit of glue across the top of that label. And there we go. Okay, so I can treat this now as one unit. I'm going to go ahead and get some Stampin' Dimensionals here on the back. So once we get our linen thread down, we can go ahead and get these glued down. I'm trying to overlap where those pieces are meeting, if I can. Okay, there we go, like, you know, for the leaf and all. Might as well put one more in the middle. Okay. All right, I'm going to put just a little bit. Let's hold up our decoration here. And so it's going to sit right about there. So I'm just kind of getting a visual of where I need some Stampin' Seal. And I need it right about there. Whoop. Yeah, totally messed up. I can get it out, but it's not easy. And let me grab my linen thread. And all I really want to do is, I just cut a length off there. That spool's almost done, but the good news is I have another spool of linen thread. I'm just running this thread through, you know, my thumbnail and finger just to straighten it out a bit. It tends to be really curly when it comes off the spool. I'm going to put the end down to that Stampin' Seal I applied, and I'm just going to make a couple of loops here on my card. And they don't, you know, there's kind of no rhyme or reason here. Just a few loops, just like that. And if they, you know, want to go off in different directions, that's just fine. And I'm going to cut that end off. And then we can go ahead and put our sentiment on. And our pumpkins. This was a fun card to make. Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you, Mom. This was definitely a fun card to make. Alrighty. And I'm just gonna kind of hold my ribbon, or my linen thread rather. Just gonna kind of hold it up there while I place this down. And I'm just gonna line the bottom of that sentiment up with the bottom edge of my card. And there we go. All right, almost done. I have some adhesive back sparkle gems here, and I'm not 100% sure what color this brown color is. It may be pecan pie, but it looked very pretty against this paper on the card. So I'm going to put a couple of large ones on the Designer Series paper panel, and then I'm going to pop one here towards the bottom of my sentiment label. And then I have got, for my inside envelope, a piece of coordinating paper. So I'm going to use the copper clay with the copper accent side for my card. Just bear with me here a moment, please. Alrighty. Yeah, those embellishments are really gorgeous. Well, to be honest with you, there's a lot of gorgeous embellishments out right now. All right, just get some liquid glue here on my envelope flap, and I can get this coordinating paper attached. There we go. Give that a good press and give it a quick haircut, and we are good to go. So it is a fun fold. I really like the front flap, and I wish I thought earlier about, you know, I could have created that like a gift card holder for that front flap. That would have been fun. But an idea for you if you want to make the card. But super quick and easy for sure. I didn't make it look so easy today. A few challenges along the way, but that's all right. That's the real world. The real world. Okay, there we go. So that is our card for today. I think I remembered to put everything on the card. But I want to thank you so much for joining. And hey, listen, speaking of joining right now, it started yesterday. Stampin' Up! Has a joining promotion during the month of October. It runs all the way through October 31st. You can, when you purchase your starter kit, get 35% more in your starter kit, or get 35% off of your starter kit. And the normal starter kit price is $99 with $125 in product. So 35% more is significantly more, right? And so that is a great deal, great joining special for the month of October. And so be sure, hey Danette, thanks so much for joining. So be sure to check that out. I have the details on my blog. You'll find them out there today. And well, really for the rest of the week, I'll have blog posts about that. Also, this Saturday is World Card Making Day, and Stampin' Up! Is hosting a virtual free card making day event. And you can register online. The details are on my blog. So be sure to check that out. But also, the Ink and Crew, my team, is going to be hosting a free Facebook card making day event as well. And I will do my very best to get the details and the schedule on my blog and on Facebook. I'm going to be going away this weekend, so I hope the information's available before I go away. But just be aware that the Ink and Crew is going to also host a card making day event. It's free and it's virtual. A Facebook group will be created that you can join, and that information will be coming out soon. But the Ink and Crew event is going to be before and after the Stampin' Up! Event, so that, you know, basically like all day, if you just want to craft along or just watch the presentations, you can do that. And there's no registration required for the Ink and Crew event. You just need to join the Facebook group, and, you know, and you're good to go for Saturday. And the Ink and Crew event starts at 9 a.m. And Mary, help me out here. I didn't write it down. The Stampin' Up! Event starts at 2 p.m. Eastern. Does that sound about right? Like 2 to 7, something like that? Anyway, I'm waiting for Mary to answer. She's probably looking it up for me. But anyway, so that is 2 to 5 p.m. Eastern. Thank you so much, Mary. That would be for the Stampin' Up! World Card Making Day event. I want to thank you for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the card. The little boo-boos along the way, but it all worked out. Have a wonderful rest of the day, and I will see you all next Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Take care. Bye-bye.